Coming up, Dinner on the Diamond, a new event partnering the Peoria Diamond Club, the Peoria Chamber of Commerce, and the Peoria Sports Complex. Do you have questions about your investments? Are you wondering how the U.S. economy or international markets will affect your decisions in 2012? We're going to discuss that and more with our very own Steve Shmatoko, financial advisor and trusted member of our community from Edward Jones. Welcome to Peoria Connections, the Peoria Chamber of Commerce's television show featuring local businesses and showcasing their expertise. I'm Scott Soldat, General Manager of the Peoria Chamber. Today we will be featuring tips and perspectives regarding United States and international investment markets. You are going to learn more about some exciting upcoming events at the Peoria Chamber and cool things to check out in our community. The tourism season is in full swing, and the Chamber's Visitor Center is ready for local residents, tourists, and even baseball fans here for spring training. Located 3/4 of a mile from the Loop 101 and Union Hills, the Chamber is close and convenient to North and South Peoria, as well as many parts of the West Valley. Designated as a state tourism center, we have brochures, hiking maps, fun things to do, and places to visit throughout Arizona from Page to Bisbee and every place in between. The Chamber also features local business members and their information. Whether you're looking for a plumber, an accountant, investment advisor, or even a great place to volunteer, the Peoria Chamber is your local source for community information, business referrals, and what to do in Peoria, the West Valley, and throughout Arizona. Today's guest is Steve Shmatoko of Edward Jones. And Steve, I'd like to thank you for being here today and for joining the show. This is our inaugural show, and we're very excited about it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Steve is a local expert for Edward Jones and has a tremendous amount of experience, and we're very excited that he's here to share some of that with us. So let's just get right to it.
Very good.
Could you tell us about the U.S. return to the recession in 2012, that people keep talking about? Is that something that we should be concerned about?
We don't think we're going to have a recession in 2012. We think slow growth is likely to continue. This means that the economy remains vulnerable to shocks, but there are a few signs of overheating or imbalances that typically precede a recession. That said, slow growth means the unemployment rate probably won't fall much, which would probably disappoint many folks. Low short-term interest rates and helping to support the economy, but not investor incomes. Low rates are expected to continue throughout the year as the Federal Reserve, the Fed, searches for other ways to boost economic growth. In contrast, modest efforts to reduce the deficit are likely to be a drag on growth. Despite slow economic growth during the past 2 years, earnings reported by companies in the S&P 500 have increased by more than 15% each quarter. We expect companies to continue to grow earnings by about 10% in 2012. This is good news since stock prices tend to follow growth of earnings and the economy over time.
Great. There's a lot going on in the news on a regular basis. We hear people talking about the economy and jobs, and it's good to hear that there is some slow turnaround and there are some good signs for that. European debt is another question that people often talk about and is on the news. European debt troubles triggered a lot of volatility in 2011. Do you expect that to continue in 2012?
Great question. We think so. Unfortunately, in addition to high government debt levels and political disarray, many signs suggest Europe's economy may be sliding into a recession. Deteriorating economic conditions will put additional pressure on policymakers to finding a comprehensive solution, but we think they'll continue to make progress slowly. In our view, Europe's troubles have created a fog of fear that's hiding the solid fundamental performance of many quality global investments. We believe long-term investors, where appropriate, should consider owning international investments.
Okay, excellent. Is the slowing growth of the Chinese economy a concern?
It's another reason that we expect slow growth in 2012. However, the Chinese government may be starting to reverse policies to avoid a sharp slowdown. If they are successful, China could provide better news than expected as the year goes on.
Great. So Steve, what sectors perform best when growth is slow?
Typically, companies with less cyclical businesses perform relatively better when the economy is soft. But economic growth has been slow for a while, and companies are adapting. We think it's important to own investments that play offense as well as defense. Teams don't win consistently if they lack one or the other, and the same is true for investment portfolios.
Mm-hmm. Inflation seems high. Will we continue to see rapid price increases?
Great question. Raw material prices jumped in the first half of 2011, but have begun to decline, bringing overall inflation back near 3%, which is our long-term projection. If prices keep rising by an average of 3% per year, but short-term interest rates stay near zero for at least 2 more years, the gap between the two may create a problem. If you're concerned about inflation in the future and its effect on your savings, you should consider investments that offer the potential for rising income.
Excellent. When will the U.S. spending and deficit issues be addressed?
Probably not until after the November election, and maybe not even then. The divisions are wide and no one seems willing to compromise. This is overshadowing the continuing growth in the U.S. Company earnings and the economy, which has helped support the U.S. stocks compared to those in the rest of the world. The gap between perceptions and fundamentals may widen during the year since presidential election campaigns tend to highlight problems.
And we've seen some of those happening in the news lately, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
How can investors make money with all the risks today?
Another great question. Investors need to stay diversified, rebalance regularly, and let time work for them. Despite all the investment and turmoil over the past decade, an investor who puts 65% into stocks and 35% of the money into fixed income and rebalance annually has made money. In fact, such a portfolio has made money in every 10-year period since 1935.
Wow, that's a great statistic.
Just after the past decades of low returns, the 10-year returns have increased in each of the past 3 years. While the past is never a perfect guide to the future, in our view, history suggests investors should be more optimistic about the next 10 years.
If our viewers don't know what rebalancing is, would you mind explaining that?
Oh, great question. Rebalancing means as parts of our portfolio, certain components of our portfolio, investment portfolios, some do well, some may not do as well, where you're taking some monies from one part of your portfolio and putting to portions of your portfolio that hadn't done well. So you're rebalancing the portfolio. Excellent.
And do you find that is a regular activity for your clients on a
yes.
Annual, biannual, quarterly basis?
Whatever's comfortable for them.
Okay.
If they like to see me more regularly, of course I would schedule a time to see them.
So we've talked about a variety of issues today, from the United States to international markets. Where do you see some of the risks that are in the market today?
We're all aware of many of the short-term market risks and volatility, especially those driven by the rest of the world. Long-term risks are also important but less visible, including too much short-term investments in cash. If the rate is less than 1%, it takes more than 70 years for your money to double. Most investors need higher returns to achieve their financial goals. Too little allocated to investments that provide the potential for rising income, perhaps too much in a single stock or bond rather than a well-diversified portfolio. Talk with your local Edward Jones advisor if you're concerned about these long-term risks.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Every investor has a unique situation.
That's right.
So we want to be sure that everyone understands that they do need to speak with their own local expert in order to get the best advice for them.
I would agree.
Excellent. So what are some of the current opportunities? You know, we've kind of talked about some things that are maybe a little bit more negative in nature. What are some of the things on the horizon that might be really exciting and offer some promise?
Okay. We believe investors can find opportunities in dividend-paying stocks that have a track record of rising dividends combined with good growth and prospects. Many companies have strong financial positions because, one, they've lowered their costs and remain lean, are growing their sales, have reduced their debt levels. So if you're pessimistic about the future, consider many quality companies that have dividends paying 3 to 4%, which may offer higher dividend yields than you might expect. We suggest owning a diversified portfolio of such companies in addition to the appropriate portion of fixed income. During volatile times such as those in the past few years, we believe a diversified portfolio of quality investments can keep you appropriately positioned for better times, even if short-term stock prices swing widely.
That's great. We really appreciate you coming on the show today and kind of giving your insight and talking about this really important issue. At the beginning of 2012 is a great time for everyone, right, to be looking at their investments and the decisions that they're making and the things that maybe didn't work so well for them in 2011.
Right. As many people have New Year's resolutions, perhaps looking at their investment or financial portfolio may be an appropriate place to look as well.
Absolutely. Again, Steve Shmatoko from Edward Jones, we thank you for being our guest today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Let's take a quick look at the Peoria Chamber's recent events in December and January. In December, we hosted the West Valley Resort Panel featuring Chairman Ned Norris of the Tohono O'odham Nation and our very own Mayor Bob Barrett. Also, partnering with them was David Jones, President and CEO of the Arizona Contractors Association. Luncheon attendees heard firsthand information about the proposed West Valley Resort that will include a casino, hotel, convention space, restaurants, and more. Mayor Barrett gave his State of the City address at the Chamber's monthly luncheon. Sponsored by APS, the January Chamber Luncheon is traditionally focused on the Peoria Mayor's State of the City address. Mayor Barrett spoke about hope, cautious decision-making, and the benefits of the proposed PAD 3 project in Peoria's entertainment district. We're here with Bridget Binsbacher from the Peoria Diamond Club to talk about the Dinner on the Diamond event coming up in February. But first, I'd like to introduce Bridget and ask her to tell us a little bit about the Peoria Diamond Club.
Hi Scott, thanks for having me. The Peoria Diamond Club is the nonprofit organization that works in partnership with the City of Peoria and our spring training teams. And we've actually been established since 1993. So we're approaching 20 years of that within that partnership, working spring training. And how it works is in exchange for the labor force that we provide for spring training, we receive a portion of the proceeds. And through a grant program that we have, we distribute those dollars to Northwest Valley youth charities and organizations. So it is a fantastic relationship, and since our inception, actually back in 1993, we have donated approximately $1.2 million to youth charities in our community, and that's primarily in Northwest Valley, but we venture out into other cities and areas in Maricopa County and Greater Arizona. So it is, there's a lot of good work being done, and a lot of people don't realize that the teams and the city actually give us an annual charity game every year. So that one day, which usually kicks off spring training, it's the first or second game of the season, we get 100% of those proceeds.
Wow.
And so that is our biggest moneymaker of the year, and it really does contribute to the grants that we distribute. In fact, even in these economic times and some of the challenges, in the last 5 years, we've actually given nearly half of our total giving has been in the last 5 years, if that makes sense.
So you're giving more, even though the economy's been tough.
Yes. And to the school district alone, we've given nearly $100,000 in the last 4 years to various Peoria school district programs that range from special needs, educational, athletic, the whole gamut. So a lot of great work is being done, and it's all a result of the partnership that we have with the city, with our teams, and of course we work collaboratively with so many community businesses. I can't say enough about our relationship with the Chamber, with local businesses, restaurants, other organizations. It takes all of us to make this happen. And the Dinner on the Diamond is just one example of that.
Absolutely, and we're very excited about that. But I have a couple of questions for you about the Diamond Club.
Okay.
First of all, you mentioned volunteers. Who are those volunteers? Where do they come from? How many do you have?
Well, we have nearly 500 volunteers, and the majority of our volunteers are winter visitors. A lot of them come from the Seattle area, the Midwest. We have some from San Diego, though more of them travel from further, colder parts of the country because they love to come here and work spring training. But many of them are here year-round and work multiple events that we, additional events that we have throughout the year. So a lot of our folks are retired, and they give at least 8 days a season. Some of them work, there are some volunteers that work every day out of the season.
Wow.
What's amazing about this is that these folks are, their professional background is unbelievable. The broad range of talent and skill sets that we have. And some of these folks are retired military, judges, attorneys, doctors, just a wide range of professions. And so they're wanting to give back. And for the volunteers, it's all about the kids. When they support any project that we're doing, any event that we're doing, they're doing it with the kids in mind. And we have a handful of events that we're able to do out of our home base, which is the Peoria Sports Complex. And they get involved as much as they possibly can. We've expanded our volunteer base from the retirement community onto some of our youth organizations. So for 2011, we piloted a partners program where we actually bring in high school groups. It can be band, it can be sports, student council, and they actually work shifts during spring training in exchange for a stipend to their respective club or organization or program. So it gives kids an opportunity to work for their dollars versus just applying for a grant, because there's so many kids that aren't able, that don't have the ability to actually get out there and work for it. So it's just a great way to now bring the youth and our senior folks together, and it has just been a great shot in the arm for our volunteers and the whole program.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
So the volunteers are truly the backbone of our organization. Without them, there could be no Diamond Club.
Volunteers are key in many nonprofit and local
sure.
community organizations.
Sure, and we're nearly 500 strong, and we have more than half of that as a core group that keep returning every year.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. They're very, very loyal.
We didn't touch on how, excuse me, how school districts can or organizations can apply for grants.
We have a website. It's www.peoriadiamondclub.org. You can go to our website. There is a grants page, and on there it tells you there's 3 deadlines a year. So there's January 15th, April 15th, and October 15th. We try to do 3 distributions a year. And we have a grants committee that reviews the applications. There is an application right on that website, and you can print it off, fill it out, fax it in, scan it in, and send it to us. A lot of people drop them off, and the grants committee reviews those applications, and based on a very objective scoring process, that's how they determine, of course, what we're budgeted for. That's how we determine what groups we issue to.
Excellent. That's exciting. Very exciting.
It's a great job. It really is. It makes it worth it.
And is it limited to the Peoria School District, or is it more of the Northwest Valley?
You know, it's not limited Peoria School District. I think back in the day, there was a time when we would fund in a lot of our neighboring cities, and we still do. We do schools, we do programs in Glendale and Surprise, Goodyear. We've gone as far north as Prescott to various camps that are, in the summer camps for special needs. As funding has been cut in various, all over, really, it's really been made more sense for the Diamond Club to really focus on our local community. Peoria. So.
Sure.
Because there's such a tremendous need here, there's no way that we can even begin to meet the demands of what's happening in Peoria, because there's been a lot of cuts in the school district, and so we get so many grants from different programs that program directors are trying to keep in place. Yes,
Sure.
and so we do venture out. It really depends on the need and how compelling that need is represented, the timing as far as what funds, how many dollars we have to give. All of those things come into play. But again, there has been so much coming from our local city organizations and our local school district that we can't get it all. So, and again, it goes back to, it takes all of us. And
Right, it does take a community.
It takes all of us.
Absolutely. So Dinner on the Diamond, we're partnering from the Chamber with the Peoria Diamond Club as well as the Peoria Sports Complex. The date is February 8th. It's going to be an exciting event, but tell our viewers a little bit more about what it is and why we're doing it and how we're kicking off spring training.
It's kind of a funny story because we started, as part of, over the past couple of years, as part of trying to develop a stronger relationship with the Peoria Chamber of Commerce, because so much of what we do goes hand in hand, and we have relationships with so many of the same businesses. It's been a great opportunity for us to actually sponsor a monthly luncheon. And so in being able to secure February, which is right before spring training, we went from the regular monthly luncheon that you usually do to, can we bring it to the Peoria Sports Complex, and then can we have a dinner, and hence Dinner on the Diamond. So it's kind of really evolved into this fantastic event. And so what we want to do is, hopefully, this could maybe end up as an annual event where we're kicking off spring training and really promoting our annual charity game, because it's important that city businesses and partners understand what the city of Peoria is doing to contribute to the Diamond Club and give back to the community, what our spring training teams are doing to contribute to the Diamond Club and give back to our youth charities, not to mention, again, what our local businesses are doing. What better way to celebrate that wonderful relationship than a Dinner on the Diamond to kick off spring training, promote the charity game, and just get all of our local businesses and residents, because we're opening it up to the community.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Not just chamber members, it's the entire community. Anyone who would like to participate in the Dinner on the Diamond can have that experience. And we'll have an announcer that evening, a photo booth, so we can capture those images and those experiences. Mayor Barrett has generously agreed to come and speak. And then our keynote speaker, we have a little bit of time left. Could you tell us a little bit about Tom Sadler?
Sure. Tom Sadler is actually the president of Arizona Sports and Tourism. And so we have really our connection to Arizona Sports and Tourism is through our participation in the Cactus League. The city of Peoria actually is a member of the Cactus League, and so is the Peoria Diamond Club. So every year we have some exposure to executives from Arizona Sports and Tourism that can kind of give us some understanding of how all of that works and how funds come back to our community and how that enhances our spring training facility and what the plan is and what the future looks like. So Tom has graciously agreed to be our keynote speaker, and he's going to share what that looks like for Peoria, and then of course share his views on how important it is to bring community, businesses, and organizations and leaders together to help grow a community and give back the way we do.
Excellent. So we'll be eating dinner down on the Diamond on February 8th. It begins at 5:30 p.m. with networking, and dinner is served at 6 p.m. We'll wrap up by about 8. There will be innings. We'll have an announcer. It's going to be a very, very baseball-themed kickoff to spring training, and you'll have the opportunity to eat down actually on the field, on the Diamond.
Infield, in the infield dirt.
And it'll be a very exciting event. Tickets are available on the Peoria Chamber's website, www.peoriachamber.com. And Bridget, thanks for being here today
Thank you.
and telling
Thanks
us
for having
about the
me.
Diamond Club and our event coming up. Well, that's our show for this month. I hope you liked it and found it informative. We would love to hear feedback from you. If you have a question about something you saw today on Peoria Connections, or you have an idea, send me an email at ssoldat@peoriachamber.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.